started. I am 𝐂𝐬𝐶𝐂𝐇. My company is upscaleyourbusiness.com. I'm a social media marketing strategist, and I specialize in helping professional coaches and consultants to systematize their business, maximize visibility, and attract ideal clients. And my co-host, or actually the presenter today, is Mark Canty, and his company is releasedynamics.com, and he's a coach for coaches. His company, Release Dynamics, is dedicated to helping coaches and consultants release their full potential by applying practical business and marketing strategies. So think about this as he's presenting today. How would your business and life be different if in the next 90 days, you could attract the kind of client you want at the rate you need? We encourage you, please stay till the end if you're not currently a member of our Upscale Success Strategies program, which is all about how to grow a profitable coaching business. And we offer strategies, lots and lots of strategies to attract your ideal clients. And we do offer an opportunity for you to join us at no charge. So stay until the end and we'll share with you a link of how you can get directly in there. It's a $97 a month is what we normally charge for this, but by being on this webinar, we welcome you to join us and play in our group at no charge. So you'll gain access to past and future webinars, live implementation calls, bonus resources like worksheets, guidebooks, and even some valuable free services. So stay till the end and we'll share how you can join us. So I'm going to stop sharing and let Mark take over and let him do his presentation, and feel free to post your questions in the chat. I will pose them to him, and we'll get all your questions and comments responded to.
Okay, I am going to, not that, this, and I will share, and you can let me know.
Yes.
If you see 3 happy, smiling, youthful, exuberant folks on the screen.
I do.
You do. Yay.
And yep, we've got a yes. We've got a few yeses. Yep, perfect.
Fantastic. That's great. Thank you for joining us. I am going to, confession here, I'm going to, as I always do, actually, it's not much of a confession, those who know me, I'm going to fly. I'm going to go fast. So I want to go fast at the beginning because I want to make sure that we have time to process this information and do some exercises in a little while. So I want to ground that with some foundational information, and then we'll do some work together, and then we'll do some Q&A. So I'm going to go pretty fast here. And I hope you can take it all in and that we can move at that pace. Jamie, fortunately for me, is going to moderate. So she's going to kind of stockpile questions. So feel free, if something comes to you, if it pops to mind while I'm talking about something or while you see a slide, then by all means, please put that question in. It won't get answered right away, but it will get answered in a few minutes when we get to the next section. So let's start off here with our presentation, and I just got to get my slides working right here. So welcome. What we're talking about here is achieving your goals. And sometimes this time of the year, you know, it's easy to get stuck, and it's easy to slow down maybe and think, oh, well, the year's almost over. What can I do now? And we want to encourage you to not do that. We want to encourage you to realize that slowing down is not going to set you up to finish your year well, and it's not going to set you up to launch your next year. So now is the time to really turn on the burners and really get focused on what you want. So let's see if we can give you some ideas around this. So let me ask you a few questions. And let me ask you to have a look at this. I may need to move my slides around because I can't see exactly what everybody's seeing. But what do you believe determines the level of success in your business, perhaps even in life? Do you think it's your intelligence? Do you think it's your talent? Do you think it's your knowledge? Do you think it's your skills? Do you think it's your strengths? How about your luck? Maybe your personality? How about your creativity, your connections, your experience, your commitment, your persistence, your willingness to work more hours? Maybe you say, hey, I'm launching my business. I'm willing to work 60, 80, 100 hours a week, whatever it takes. I will do it. Do you believe that any of those things determine the level of your success? Think about that. And if you do believe that, just give me a 1.
Got some ones.
Got some
Yep.
ones.
Yep.
Now, what if I told you, you know, this, as I always do, is maybe a trick question. What if I told you that it's none of the above? What if I told you that your intelligence, your skills, your talents, your luck, personality, creativity, your connections, none of them determine how far you'll go?
Hmm.
Don't get me wrong, these traits are important, but in the work that we do, I've found that these qualities are almost never the deciding factor in how successful somebody is. And why is that? Because these traits just simply determine your potential for success. They do not guarantee that you're going to be successful or how successful you're going to be. So think about that for a minute. Potential. Think about everything that you do that builds and creates potential for your business, and think about what potential really is. Now, only the potential of your business is determined by these things, by your talent, your knowledge, your commitment, your effort, etc., all of those things. Only the potential. I'm keying on this word, obviously. So let's talk about your business design then. Okay, so if it's not those traits, those things that you bring to the table, what about the way you design your business? Do you believe that there's one thing that will determine your success or the success of your business? And this is where I'm really going to go fast with you for a minute. Okay, so I'm just trying to give you an example here. If we look at the essential elements of having a business online and what that means, there's basically 12 elements, and you can see them outlined here. They vary from content through. Okay, let's look at that. If we can even break those out further, and if you've attended other webinars that we've done, you've seen me do this, is that content breaks out into a whole bunch of other things that you need to master and tackle. Let's go to the next idea. The next idea would be your business in terms of having a good list, having people that you can market to, or what we call an audience these days. How about the other factors that are going on in your business, like your financial situation and how you manage your finances? Or let's talk about your technical skills and what needs to happen in terms of technical activities for your business. I could go on and on. Your systems, and we could expand on this and build this and grow this out. And you've seen me do this before. Your copywriting skills and how you get content, how you publish that online. These are all essential elements of building an online business. How do you drive traffic? How do you establish traffic? Through building links, through pay-per-click, through doing SEO, through all of these other things that can happen. And there are more and more that are popping every day. So if you think about these things and you look at even your client relationships and all of these other things that incorporate, and I'm just going to blast through these, your market analysis, again, there's an awful lot there, isn't there? I'm still going here and we're not done yet. And this is by no means an exhaustive list. It's a good start to what your business is going to need in the long run to be a fully functioning online business. But it's not exhaustive. In fact, if we look at it this way, this is just a snapshot of all of those components of your business. Now, before you freak out, we talked about the qualities of your business. And we talked about now some of the things that need to go into elements that need to go into business design to be effective online. And I'm going to ask you again, and I'm going to tell you again, what if I told you that it's none of those things either? What if I told you that it's none of those business processes or designs that are set up that are going to determine whether you're going to be successful or how far you're going to go? Again, I want to say, don't get me wrong, those things are important. Those are elements that are going to come into play in your business. But once again, all they determine is your potential. They don't guarantee, and they don't even bring forth how successful that you're going to be. Now, here's the crazy part is that a lot of people get into this mindset and think that I need more and more and more. I need to develop and hone more of my skills. I need to put more into my business design. But since when is more the solution to having too much? It's really quite crazy, isn't it? It's a model that many marketers are following, but they don't realize that they're spending an overwhelming amount of time on the wrong things. And yet they keep doing it. They're searching for more activities, tactics, tricks, and they just want to squeeze in more and more onto that crazy chart. Now, why would you spend any more time looking for more to do if what you're doing isn't working? And if what you're doing isn't even getting done because you've already got so much to do? Kind of crazy, isn't it? Now, the important thing is that we need to understand that what this is doing is it's lacking strategy. We're looking in all the wrong places. Okay. So let's look at one more thing. Think about this for a minute. If you double or triple your potential by developing more of your talents, knowledge, commitment, etc., or you spend more time perfecting all of the components of your business design, will you experience growth and profitability? Will it make one iota of difference, in fact? Are you getting where I'm going with all of this? How many people, give me a one if you get where I'm going with this.
I get it. Yep, we've got ones. Yep.
Good. So potential does not equate success. And this is, here's an example of someone that both Jamie and I have worked with. So someone, and by all means, this person isn't exclusive. We've come across this many, many times. They have a list of, I think it's around 6,000 prospects, 6,000 people that they developed over the years. By having that list, they have a tremendous amount of potential. But does that make them any money, having the list? It just sits as potential until you do something with it. So they could take that list and they could say, well, wait a minute, I need to refine and make this perfect email sequence. And then I need to have this perfect funnel to send them to once I do that. So I've got to do all that work before I can do anything else. Have they moved the needle at all? No, because all they've done is spent all this time focusing on the potential and building more and more of their potential. And that's a problem. Because in today's age where we're living with a virtual world around us that has limitless possibilities to improve our potential, can you see how this could be an endless game? How you could end up in a vicious cycle of constant potential, constantly improving your potential, but never actually make any traction? Does that make sense?
I agree. Yeah.
You agree? You're tracking with me, Jamie?
I am, and I'm taking notes. Yes.
So what we need to realize is there's another side to this, and that it's not about building a potential. It's not about, and those of you who are our clients, you've heard me preach on this before, is to stop doing more. What we need to do is less. And what we need to do is focus in on very critical things. And one of the most important things we need to focus in on is our constraints, that one thing that could be blocking our path to success. And essentially, little commercial here, full disclosure, this is what we do with our 90 Days to Clarity in Clients program, is that we work with you on shifting the mindset and helping you get focused on the little things, the one thing that you need to be working on in that moment in time, instead of being overwhelmed with the many things.
Right.
So let's talk a little more about this. I want to share a story with you here. I'm gonna read this story, in fact, and see if this makes sense to you. Let's say you run a pizza parlor. And let's say you have a fantastic location and you have just the best pizza. Maybe you have this amazing sourdough crust or something that people are just beating a path to your door to get. And you could sell as many pizzas as you could possibly make. But your employees are only making 10 pizza pies an hour. So you take a look at your operation, you take a look at your business design in order to find ways to double your output. And you find that, well, you've seen that there's this guy who mixes and rolls the dough. You've hired him. So he's your dough maker, but he seems to be spending too much time flirting with the girl that puts the toppings on. And you know that he should be making more than 10 pizza pies or pizza crusts an hour. So that's all he's producing. And you think, well, he needs to cool it. So you have a chat with him. You say, cool your jets and focus on your work. And you show him techniques that will help him be more efficient. You say, you can do much faster than this. You can double, this. And you may even go out and you buy him some new equipment. Maybe you buy him an automated kneading machine or something that actually helps him double his input. Now, you've also noticed that the gal who adds the tomato sauce and the cheese and the toppings takes too many breaks. She's a smoker, so she likes to step out and take a break. And maybe she's even going out with the dough boy in behind. And he's only producing 10 pizzas an hour. So you work with her and you say, we got to cut this back. And you work with her and you figure out a way to get her to double her output too. So now she's able to put toppings on 20 pizzas an hour instead of 10. So finally, after investing a substantial amount of time and effort to double the number of pizzas your employees make in an hour, you watch your daily sales and you're excited and you anticipate, hey, my revenues are going to double. I'm going to be more profitable and put more money in the bank. But you don't notice any change. Everything just stays the same. And you say, what's going on? So you call a big meeting and you call in the pizza dough guy and you call in the toppings gal and you get them on the carpet. And you said, what's going on? I showed you how to double the number of crusts you can make every hour. I spent hours with you. I even invested in extra equipment. I spent a small fortune on all these little gadgets to make you more efficient. Why haven't you doubled your production? And they say, well, have a look in the kitchen. So you look in the kitchen. And sure enough, there are piles and piles of unbaked pizzas spoiling. And they're all piled up around the oven. And they're all over the place. They're in every nook and cranny. Because, in fact, the pizza dough boy and the topping girl did double their production. But that wasn't your real constraint. The choke point, the real constraint, was the fact that no matter how many pizzas the dough guy and the toppings gal could do, your oven was only big enough to bake 10 pizzas per hour. So even though you've invested all this time, trouble, and money, you've solved the wrong problem. You only increased your potential for greater input. By working with those two employees, you put all of that investment into upping your potential, doubling your potential, but you experienced nothing on the bottom line. Nothing happened with your actual output, your revenues, your profits. So in the end, you accomplished nothing. You're still selling just 10 pizzas a day, and your sales and profits haven't improved at all. So not only have you wasted your time and money, you've actually made things worse. Now you have to find a way to get rid of all those spoiling pizzas. So you got to hire somebody to dump them, and maybe you have to pay a dumpage fee or whatever. So you got extra fees coming in. Now, instead, if you'd invested your time and effort to identify just one thing and remove the real constraint, the fact that your oven can only bake 10 pizzas an hour, your return on that investment could have been realized almost day one. Does that make sense?
That's a great story. Yeah.
Once you eliminate that constraint, you can turn all the time you thought that was being wasted, you can spend that time now working with the pizza dough and the topping girls and turn that into an investment because you've addressed the initial cause of the problem. You've laid the groundwork, you've built the foundation so they can prepare more pizzas. Then there's somewhere to cook them. And then you can teach new employees and you can bring new employees in, and maybe you get a pizza oven that can do 30 or 40 or 50 a day. And next thing you know, your business is on a growth curve. So I want you to think about that in terms of what's holding you back. Are you correctly identifying what needs to take place? What's holding you back? Because you see, when you do identify those key constraints, and you identify that one thing you need to be working on, then all of a sudden you start to get leverage. And all of a sudden, now instead of developing more potential, you're actually putting that potential to work. And things begin to pay off for you. Can you see how that might apply to your business? Can you see how the potential growth and profitability of your business depends, yes, on what you bring to the table and how you design it, but just the potential for it does. So those things need to be in place. You need to have a certain level of those. You can't just hang out your shingle. But the actual growth and profitability of your business will be determined by the things that limit or cancel your return on anything that you invest in. I've lost my slides here on my screen, so I need to.
I still see them.
So I'm back again.
Okay.
My slides are back. I found them. They were just hidden on me. Whoops. Are we here? No. Let me get back to this. Okay, we in the right place?
That's where you left off. Yeah.
That's where I left off. Good, thank you.
Yeah.
So think about this for a moment. I want to read this quote to you. The ability to focus attention on important things is a defining characteristic of intelligence. So there's a couple reasons that I share this quote with you. One is this idea of the ability to focus. So we're coming back to the one thing again. You've got to focus attention on what? Important things. not just doing things, but on doing important things. And it relates back to the story, and it relates back to what I talked about. So it's not focusing your attention on developing more of your potential by learning more, by developing your skills and your talents and everything else, by spending time working on your copy or your greatest, latest program that you're going to put in an e-commerce platform. None of that is going to make you money. As a matter of fact, the more you do it, that's just like rotting pizzas sitting in the back office because nobody's buying them, because you haven't worked on the core things and on the most important things that you need to be working on. So let me put this to you and give you a framework now to work from. So the first thing that, and I'm sorry, the reason I'm having trouble here is because I have this set up in such a way where my slides are really tiny on my screen, so my eyes are kind of going, oh, I can't read that. So I'm having to move things around. So thank you for bearing with me as I maybe look a little odd or am having trouble with some of these things. So
it doesn't look tiny to me anyway. So yeah.
As long as you guys can see the screen and,
yes.
and this is all making sense to you. So how do we get to that one thing? How do we figure out what should I be working on? What's my highest priority? And I want to take you through the checklist because as we always do, I want you to have valuable content, actionable items that you go away from this hour together with, okay? So the first thing you need to identify is what do I really, really want? The outcome of the outcome, we call this. Then once you have that in mind, then clearly describe your goal and what you need to have to get that outcome. Now, I want to pause here for a moment. This is where most people get messed up because they never do number one. They go straight to number two. Now, let me give you an example of this. Let's say that I think about this and I go, I want a shiny red convertible sports car. That's my goal. My goal is to get a shiny red convertible sports car. And I go through the process of whatever it needs to, and I'm going to go through the next steps here in a minute, but I go through the process of obtaining that, of achieving that goal. But what if I stop for a minute and I say, well, what's the outcome of that outcome? Why do I need a shiny red convertible sports car? If I back up a bit and I say, what's the outcome? Well, the outcome is I need transportation to get to work. Then now I can look at that and I go, well, do I need a shiny red convertible sports car? So I've got to do two things here. I've got to look at it and either change my outcome or change my goal so that they align. So if that's all I need, if I go, well, wait a minute, all I need is transportation to get to work, then I don't need a shiny red convertible sports car. What are the things that I could do to make that goal happen, to get to work on a consistent basis regularly? Let's brainstorm here. Give me some ideas. Jamie, you're going to have to read for me because I can't see the participants.
Waiting for some response. Can you recite the question one more time?
The question would be, if my goal initially was to get a shiny red convertible sports car, but the outcome of the outcome is I need a consistent way to get to work, then how could I change my goal to align with the outcome? What other possibilities come up? Could I take the bus?
I was just going to, that's what I was thinking, but I was like, I'm going to look stupid if I say that, but that's what I was thinking. Okay.
Am I close enough to walk?
Yeah.
Is Uber reasonable enough that it's not even worthwhile having a car? Could I hitchhike? Could I carpool?
Yeah.
So I might be able to change my goal to align with the outcome, or I change the outcome. So I say, well, wait a minute. And let's say that I'm working with you on this. And by the way, this is what we do. This is what Jamie and I do in terms of helping you through these processes. We help you gain clarity. So if you think about the outcome of the outcome, I would ask you, well, wait a minute, you need to get to work. Why the shiny red convertible sports car? Well, describe the outcome for me. Well, I want to get to work in style. I happen to live in a part of the world where we get 325 days of sunshine a year, and I love the sun, so I want to be able to take the top down. I happen to be single, so I want to attract people to me. And I think that a car will help me do that. So now you see how I'm changing the outcome. And I'm aligning that with my goal. So can you see how in business this could happen to you? Like let's think about this. Take a moment to just think about that for a minute. That what is your goal in business? So let's say we come across this as well. My goal is to be a multimillionaire. And we say, well, do you have any children? Yes. Do you have a spouse? Yes. Do you like to spend any time with them? Yes. Do you realize what it takes to build a multi-million-dollar business? Most people who build multi-million-dollar businesses will tell you that they are married to their business. So again, you've got misalignment between your goal and your outcome. So you need to go back and revisit that. Jamie, are you tracking with me? Am I making sense?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now that we've established that, we've got a goal, we've aligned it with the outcome of the outcome, which is what we really, really, really want. Now we start to work backwards. So how do we work it back? Work it back to get to the one thing. So we begin by asking this question. In order to have this, what would need to be in place? In order to have that car, this would need to be in place. So what do you think would need to be in place in order to have that car?
Money, funds.
Money. You'd have to have some resources.
Good credit, maybe, if you don't have all the money.
If you don't have the money, then you might need a credit rating. So you need access to money. Let's say access to money.
Okay.
Okay. You'd need to know who sells that kind of car that you're interested in.
Right.
You'd need to know where they're located. You'd need to know what the hours of operation are. You'd need to know how you can get there. Presumably, you might not even have a car right now. Is there a bus that can get you there? Can you taxi? Can you walk to it? And we could go on and on, okay? But the important point here is you want to have a very detailed, exhaustive list as to what is going to get you to that outcome of owning that car. Be specific. You need the things that need to be present in order for you to have them. Every single one of them. So think about that, the metaphor that I've used of buying the car again. Can you imagine you go, I want a shiny red sports car. And you walk out onto the street. You have no idea where you're going. And you ask, well, where do they sell shiny red sports cars to somebody on the street? Sorry, my phone's going crazy here. And I'm going to try and turn that off. I apologize for that interruption. Okay.
We've all had that.
So you'd have to find these things out. You might be lost. You might end up wandering around town all day long because you never knew where the car dealership was, right? So you need to have a list of things. Also, what would happen if you walked into the dealership and they said, well, here's the car. It's $85,000. And you went, oh, well, I don't have any money. And I don't have any credit rating. You obviously would need to have things in place in order to purchase that car, in order to have that car, right? And you could go on and on. How am I going to license it? How am I going to insure it? Do I have those connections all set up? Do I have everything done? Think about this in terms of your business, your starting point in your business. What's your goal? What's the outcome of the outcome? And then work it backwards. List the specific things that you need to have present in order to get what you want. Now, once you have that list present, you want to prioritize it and eliminate or hack, what I would call hacking the list. What do I mean by that? Well, let's say, for example, in my list, I say, I am going to take the bus to the car dealership. And you find out that the bus only runs at certain hours, but there's a trail that runs behind your home and that you can walk to the dealership in the same amount of time that the bus could get you there. You could hack that and remove that list. So you want to go through and eliminate things. Maybe the dealership's next door, so you don't even need that step of getting to the dealership because you don't need a bus, you don't need a taxi, you don't need a car. You literally walk out your door and there's the dealership. So you want to eliminate and hack anything you can. In other words, ask yourself, do I really need that step? So this is critical. It's really important because this will get you to your goal faster. Because often we put in steps. Jamie, is it true that you and I often have these conversations?
Yes.
And that we'll have an idea will come up and that we will go through that idea. It might be a new tool. It might be a new idea in terms of how to do something. And one of the first things that we do is have a discussion around, do we really need this?
Need that. Yeah.
And 90% of the time, the answer is no.
No.
So this is another thing that you can think of is when you're online, and if you have a tendency to jump, to be spontaneous, to impulse purchase, to take on new projects, this is a great way to stop yourself and ask yourself that question: do I need this? Will this get me closer to my goal in a faster way? And if it won't, put it away. It's just a shiny object that's distracting you.
Yeah.
Now,
good enough is good enough.
Good enough is good enough. And one of the things that we talk about is put a target of 80% instead of 100%. So avoid the trap of perfection.
Yeah.
Is it 80% good enough? Let's say you do something. This is really helpful, by the way, in terms of outsourcing. And I'm going to talk about that right now. Is that if you've identified something that you do really well, and this is a big problem for a lot of people. They think, well, I know how to do it. I do it so well. I just can't turn it over to somebody else because they won't do it as well as I can.
Yeah.
Kiss of death. Big problem.
Yep.
So what you shoot for is 80%. Can they do it 80% as well? Or can I get them to a level of 80% as well as I can? And if you can, then you're off and running. Okay. Identify available resources and missing resources. So this is where you want to ask yourself some questions. You want to say, do I have that? What do I already have that I can use in order to achieve this goal? So if we come back to the car again, we might say, well, I already know that I have a bus pass and I know the town and I know how to get there. I have a credit card with a $50,000 credit limit on it. I've got a line of credit at the bank. I've got, amazing resources that I have. So I have all of that put away. I have a relative who's in the insurance business that can get me hooked up. I also have a friend that works in the automotive department or whatever that can help me with things that way. What do you have in terms of resources that are already in place that you can use? This is really important because often we end up spending money, time, buying things or trying to learn new ways of doing things when we already can get the job done with what we already know or have. Now, the other thing you want to ask yourself is, what do I need that I don't have? Because that's the missing piece. Now, with a missing piece, you need to go through a process of saying, first of all, is this something that I can do myself? And if I can do it, do I have a high level of competency, skill, and desire to do this? Because if you don't do it. So if you can't do it, if you don't have a high level of competency, skill, and desire to do it, then you need to say, where can I get that done? Who do I need to know? Who can help me get this done? Here's another hack for you. Another hack is looking at other people that are doing it well. So a lot of people think that, well, just because I don't have that in place, now I need to reinvent the wheel. I need to start from scratch. But what about looking for models out there of people that are close to doing what you want? Let me give you an example. An example would be, say, a funnel that attracted your attention. Okay, so in other words, you saw an ad or a piece on, say, Facebook, and you went, wow, that really caught my attention. They made me desire that and want that right away. Sign up for it. Follow their process and see what they're doing. Hack their process and adapt it to your particular product or service. So these are ways that you can hack the system and fill in those missing pieces. But it's really, really important to come back and say, do I have the competency? Do I have the skill? And do I have the desire to do this? And many, many times, Jamie can verify this, we come across people that are spending the majority of their time, 80% of their time, doing things that they're not good at, that they don't have core skills around, and that they really don't like to do. Now, that's a constraint. When you can identify those things and start to eliminate them by moving them off of your plate, you free up room to do the things that you're intended to do, to be at your very best. So ask, can I do it? Then ask, should I do it? Will doing this allow me to work at the highest level of my capabilities and my competencies? And also the desire is an important thing too, because even though you may be capable and even though you may have competency, if you don't want to do it, you're probably not going to do it well. So once you've identified this and worked this all the way back, then you're back to that one thing, that starting point, if you will, to start with your goal. You prioritized it. You know that, well, the first thing I need to do is identify the brand of the car or cars that I'm interested in shopping for. The second thing I need to do is find out where those dealerships are located. The third thing I need to do is put a travel plan together so that I can visit those different dealerships. The fourth thing I need to do is figure out the price of those vehicles. The fifth thing I need to do is figure out if I can afford it and if I have the resources in place to make that happen, and so on and so forth. So apply this to your business and to your constraint. Identify that most important thing that you need to do to get you to your goal. Everybody tracking with me?
Yep. Got one?
Good.
Yep.
Good. Okay, so we're coming up. Why is this not advancing? There we go. So one of the things I wanted to point out to you that can be an issue, because a lot of the time we'll listen to a learning event and we'll get all pumped up and we'll be excited, and maybe you're already thinking, wow, this is great. I can just start to go through these constraints and bang them out of the way and I'll be on my way. We all do that. I do that. As a matter of fact, watched a brief webinar yesterday to gather a little information from somebody that I know is very competent in the field. And I was looking for those things and getting very excited, but then starting to realize some of the constraints that were coming up even in the way it was being presented. And we get very excited and then we get stuck. And I want to take you briefly through a model, and then we'll go to Q&A. So the model is what's called the Johari Window. Two psychologists, Joe Ingram, I think his name was, and Harry Luft from Harvard, by the way. A lot of people think it's this mystical Eastern thing, but it's not. It came out of Harvard. And they developed this model based on a window, 4 panes of a window. And in the first pane, we call this the open pane. So this is the window that's open. Things that are known to yourself and things that people know about you. It's public, it's out there. Then you have, down below that, you have what we would call the hidden area. So that's where you know about something, but other people don't. It's private, it's secret. You keep it to yourself. Over in the upper right quadrant, something you don't know, but others know. These are your blind spots, the things that people observe about you that you don't even know exist. And then in the bottom corner is something that's not known to you and not known to others. And that's where potential lies. So the goal here is to expand our ability to be more open so that we can start to tap into those other areas and build our business. The challenge is if you stay and you don't get outside help and you don't get exposure to your blind spots, to the potential that exists, to other things, you don't start to release things to others, then you stay stuck and you can't move beyond the point that you're at. In other words, you have trouble even knowing or discovering or uncovering those constraints. If we look at it this way, this is how you expand that area. You expand the open area, which allows you to tap into these things. You do it in 2 ways. By disclosing or giving feedback to other people, then you let people in. In other words, you start to close down the hidden area. And by asking for feedback and receiving feedback, stuff that's not known to you, you get blind spots revealed to yourself. Now, the reason I share this model with you is because this is what we're all about. This is what we do. And this is why the idea of somebody DIYing everything themselves is never going to achieve any great level of success. The expression "no one is an island unto themselves" holds true, is that until we expand and we build team and we bring others in, we can't truly grow. So I want to share that with you because that's essentially what we do with our 90-day program, is we help you through this process of self-discovery by revealing blind spots and also by tapping into the potential together that neither of us knew existed. And it comes to light as we dive into these areas of constraint as well as potential. So I wanted to share that little model with you. And then I'd like to do a Q&A if we have any, and then we'll just wrap up with one more slide here.
Okay.
Jamie, thoughts, feedback, anything coming in on the Q&A?
Yeah, feel free to put your questions, comments in the chat. Did this resonate with you? How do you feel about what Mark has shared with you? I love that you've put this all into, you've distilled it down, because I think that so many business people and, people that we've worked with and people that I've known and that you've known, we kind of, and even myself to some level, and I know you've admitted to it as well. I mean, you talked about you were on a webinar yesterday. I too was on a webinar this week that I thought I took some bits and pieces from it. I got all jazzed and I thought, oh my gosh, I got to go in that direction. I'm doing that. And as the webinar continued to play, and it was an automated webinar, I knew that. But as it continued to play, I was even saying to my husband, oh, this is great. I can't wait to do. And about halfway through, I was like, no, it's so not what I need to be focused on right now. And I hear Mark, in my head saying, and I wrote this down to remind myself, what's the fastest, easiest path to get where you want to go? And that was not it. That was just a tactic that I was learning. And you and I have talked about that too. Spending time learning tactics. There's strategy and there's tactics and all of that. And if you're going to do strategy, focus on what's going to get you the result that you want. That's really what it comes down to.
Yes.
Even
having a strategy, developing a strategy to begin with. Most people just run around throwing tactics out there.
That's
hoping
exactly
that somehow
right.
It'll work.
Yes. And that's part of our program too, is I've put together sort of a step-by-step kind of effective strategies that will, really, if you put them all together, they're going to help you to get the result that you want. You have to have certain things in place. That's what my portion of our program brings in, is having all these things in place so that when people do get to your website, that they will be jazzed about taking those next steps, and they'll be primed and they'll be ready to work with you. So one of the things I wrote down, and what you said, and we're getting feedback. This is great information. Thanks. Awesome. Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. But one of the things I wrote down too is, we talk about what is the fastest, easiest path to get what you want. If it's clients that you want and cash flow and income and all of that, really it's about being in engagement with people. And I've struggled with that too. I'm like, oh, if I just have this new platform, it'll be the thing. Oh, if I just develop this new program, that'll be the thing that gets people. And I've come to learn over years of being in business, it is about the relationship that you're building with those people. Find out what they need. You don't even know what they need. So to, go off on a tangent and create something, program, anything like that, it's not really the fastest, easiest path, because they may not even need that.
Yes.
You and I created our program based on needs that we found out from people.
Yes.
Where are they struggling? Where is their blind spots? Like you talked about.
Yes.
So that's what I want to say.
and the key here is what you just talked about, is that so many times if we do all those other things and it's all about us, if we think about our skills and our talents and our competencies, and we think about our business design and everything, that's all about us. It's all what's in our head.
Yeah.
But we're failing to take into account the most important side of the equation, which is what other people want and what they're looking for and what their core desires are. And when we do that and we start to design based on that, then everything shifts, everything changes. Now, at the same time, I want to reiterate and come back and kind of repeat this again so everybody gets this, is that this idea, and I want to come back to the idea of, how do I take this last 6 weeks of the year and really make it count? Well, you do this. And you can do this now. You can be taking action this afternoon on critical things that need to be done. So I'll share a brief example with you. Is, once again, Jamie and I were debriefing. We had our strategy meeting, and full confession here, I started to work on refining some of my program content. But then when Jamie and I had our meeting, we identified, well, what was the outcome of the outcome? Well, our business was not having the consistent influx of customers or clients that we wanted. So we weren't getting that rhythm that we wanted. We identified that that was the outcome we wanted. So our goal from that was, well, we need to have a more consistent outreach program going. We need to have more conversations, if you will, was the goal. More conversations will get us to where we want to go. Right. So then we were able to work that backwards. Well, what popped for me was, why am I putting my program or tightening it up in a certain platform when what I really need to be doing is outreach? And in this case, it was outreach on LinkedIn, so that I'm having more conversations.
Yes.
And guess what takes less time and is simpler.
Conversations.
The conversations and the
Yeah.
outreach.
Yeah.
It's the simple matter of just saying hi to somebody you want to talk. So why spend all this time on program design or refinement or taking it from 80% to 90% when that's all that's doing is increasing my potential? When on the other side, success is more conversations. And all I need to do to start a conversation is to say, hi, how are you?
Yeah.
What's going on in your world?
And really how you can help people too is through those conversations. Even
Mhm.
once they become a paying client, there's no rule book that says you must have a designed program. It must be, it must be on a platform. It must be accessible 24/7. I mean, that's all nice and fine. And if you have that, that's awesome. I have that. But I can tell you, from my own experience, full disclosure too, I've built programs that, really didn't really sell, but through my conversations and understanding what their needs are, then they purchase that because then I've made that recommendation. And that's kind of how that goes. So if we go back to a conversation about other webinars we've had about passive income, hoping people are just going to show up and purchase, but you don't know if there's even a need. What is it that they need? All of that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this idea of coming back to square one, which is that one thing that gets me closest to my goal, working this backwards, saying, what is my goal? What's that going to get me? What do I need to do to tweak each so that they're in alignment? And then continually working backwards and saying, in order to have this, in order for this goal to be realized, what would need to be in place? And in order for that to happen, what would need to be in place? And in order for that to happen, what would need to be in place? And working it backward. Often when you start through that process, the priority is actually somewhat close. Sometimes you'll move pieces around a little bit. And also when you do the hack, you'll find out that some of the pieces you may not really need, but it will get you back to that starting point. And then the key is starting.
Yeah.
When you've identified that one thing, start on that one thing. Don't start on number 10. Start on number 1.
Yeah.
And work from there. And go through this process, if you will, of identifying. Now, if you do this and you set a goal of, for example, let's say my goal is the outcome of the outcome is that I want to end this year on a high. I want to be feeling like there was a last sprint to the finish and I won the race, whatever that race is. And I want that feeling. That's the outcome of the outcome I want come the end of the year at a New Year's party. What do I need in order to do that? Well, I need to double my sales, or I need one more client, or I need 10 more clients. Get very specific. Clearly describe your goal, whatever that is. Then work it back. In order to have a client, what do I need? Well, in order for me to have one new client, I would need, this is where metrics come in, I would need to have 5 prospects because I know that I close 1 out of every 5 people that I talk to. And in order to have 5 prospects, I know that I need to have 20 conversations because I know that 5 out of 20 people that I reach out to will actually have a conversation with me. And working my way backward. And then what would be the next step? Where are they hanging out? Where can I reach out to them? Where can I get those conversations started? Let's say it's on LinkedIn, for example, which is the place where Jamie and I typically hang out. So now I'll work it all the way back. Well, what do I need to do? What's my starting point? My starting point is to reach out and initiate 20 conversations on LinkedIn. I've got a starting point. Everything else falls into place after I start.
Yeah.
So that is right there as an example of how you can quickly change your mindset and end the year on a high note. And that's what we wanted to do in this presentation, is give you some tips to do that. But you can see that it's much deeper than that. And that the long-term approach now would be take that and build the momentum, because doing that now will build the momentum coming into the new year. So now you're off and running in next year to a great start. So I wanted to reiterate that and bring that through. And then one more thing just to finish up this whole idea. We want to open the windows for you. That's what we want to do. And we have an offer. We release this every now and then. The last one we did was a few months back. We have an offer for those who want to join our elite group of one-on-one clients that we work together, we'll help you gain clarity, put a plan together, eliminate your constraints, and get to where you are attracting the kind of people who get it and want to do business with you and pay you what you're truly worth. That's our goal and the outcome that we work towards. We'll gain crystal clarity, what you want from your business, and a strategy to achieve it. We'll plan out a massive action plan, a map, which includes an offer, your audience, identifying that, putting together messaging that's going to reach that audience, and then implementing that so that it gets out there and gets traction and you start to have those conversations. This is limited. When we do this release, I think we did the last one about 3 months ago, we take on just 5 coaches, consultants at a time. So we've only got 5 spaces available. When you respond to this, when you reach out, sorry about my dog who's coming in for a visit, who's coughing, but we limit this to just 5 people. So it's small, it's tight. You're going to get that one-on-one attention. We want to encourage you to apply now, get in touch with us. We'll have you go through an assessment to determine if you're where your readiness is and if you're in a position to actually qualify to get it done, because we don't want to take you on. We don't want to take your money if we can't help you get to where you need to go. And if you go through all those steps, then get prepared to go deep and take all out massive action. Right now, we're coming into the last month of the year. So what we'll be doing is laying the foundation, getting a lot of foundational work done with you over the next month so that we can hit the ground running in the new year and spending those first few months of the new year really building your momentum and getting you up and running. So if you're interested in that, please reach out to us and let us know. Jamie, I'm going to turn things back over to Jamie, and she's going to give you some contact information, let you know how you can get in touch with us about this. Also, if you're not currently a member of our Upscale Six Strategies group, she's going to show you how to do that. Yeah. And also one more thing to mention is when we wrap up here and we close, you're going to see a screen. We would ask you to hang around for a minute because there's going to be a feedback screen that'll pop up. And please, 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 if you got any value from today at all, we didn't charge anything for this, but we would like to charge you. What we would like to charge you, the fee for admittance is at the end, which is your feedback. So if you would be willing to give us your feedback on the program, that's the cost for entry, and it's actually the cost for exit. So we'd appreciate that. So I'm going to turn things back over to Jamie here and get back myself out of this.
Thank you, Mark.
Jamie can share those links with you, and let me just, sorry, close down my...
Okay. Thank you, Mark. And yes, as I was joking around, fee equals feedback. So I put up, I hope you all can see it in the screen there, maybe in the chat where it says, I'm interested. Just click on that. You'll be presented some options, whether you want to consult with Mark, or maybe you want to consult with me, or maybe both of us. And if you're interested in our elite program that Mark was just defining for you, click off that box that you're interested in that. And then I'll send you, as he mentioned, an application, determine your readiness, see, if it's a good fit for us to help you into the new year. I'm also going to now remove this offer, and I'm going to put up our membership, because I did mention, so I'm going to broadcast that. This is our Upscale Success Strategies program. And it's a $97 a month is what we charge typically for it. We're giving you 1 free month. Join us. Check it out. You get lots of free content in there. Valuable items. If you love it, stick with us. But you get the access for a month, and check it out. See how it goes for you. So I think that's it. We'll kind of wrap it up here.
Yes.
If anybody has any questions, feel free to reach out to us. I'll give you my email. You can do it to info@upscaleyourbusiness.com, and I'll be happy to pass on any questions or comments to Mark, and we'll get back to you. So happy holidays, everybody, and we'll speak.
Yes, happy holidays, happy Thanksgiving to everyone. Have a wonderful long weekend. Some of you may be taking an extra long weekend. Jamie, nudge, nudge, wink, wink. By blasting out, or maybe you're already taking your long weekend and you're just choosing to sit around in your pajamas and watch us. In any case, have a very happy Thanksgiving, and we will look forward to connecting with all of you next month, and hopefully even sooner than that.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.